Hello children. In my previous video, I have explained you this chapter through a picture reading. That was Virata Parv or the 13th year. If you have not watched the video, you can watch it. In this video, I will explain you the chapter line by line. So let's start. So it is chapter 1, the Pandavas last year in exile. Children, you might have learned about Pandavas in Mahabharata. Children, if you remember last year during lockdown, Mahabharata and Ramayana was going on in the televisions and we have watched it. If you have not watched it, no problem, we will learn the episode here. And if you have watched it, you might have watched this episode there. Okay, so here we have to learn about the Pandavas last year in exile. Last year means what, children? How many years he got as a punishment? Children, we know that the Pandavas, they were playing the game of dice with Kauravas. Kauravas were the cousins of Pandavas. And children, do you know how many Pandavas and Kauravas were there? There were 5 Pandavas and 100 Kauravas, and they had one sister also. So they Pandavas and Kauravas, they were cousin. So once they have decided to play the game of dice, and in the game of dice there were conditions. And what was the condition? That whoever will lose the game, they will take 13 years. They have to be in 13 years in exile. Exile means they will go from that country for some period of time. So they will get for 13 years. And the 13th year, that is the last year, they have to they have to hide somewhere so that no one can find it. So let's learn this story. Let's learn about this episode line by line here with the pictures. But before that, let us read that you must have heard stories from the Mahabharata from your parents or grandparents. But children, you must have watched on the television also. Fine. You must have read the stories in the books also. So the Mahabharata tells the story of the struggle for supremacy. Supremacy means what? Superiority or control over someone. So it was the struggle for supremacy between two groups of cousins. Who were the two cousins? The Kauravas and the Pandavas. Many myths and legends. Myths and legend means the stories or tales, you can say, tales or fables. So they have been woven into the Mahabharata, which have passed down through the generations. So children, let us read to find out about one such story. The Pandavas had already spent 12 years in exile. Exile means to be sent out of one's native country for a period of time, for a certain period of time. Fine. So they have having lost the game of dice to their cousin. And who was that cousin? Prince Duryodhana. As per the terms of the game, what is the meaning of terms? Requirements or conditions laid down or agreed upon. In this case, it is the game of dice. There are terms and conditions in all the games, like when you play cricket or badminton or chess or kabaddi, any game. There are some terms and conditions, and you have to follow them. So as per the terms of the game, they had to spend the last year means the 13th year of their exile in disguise. What is the meaning of disguise? To hide one's identity. Means no one could recognize them. However, if they were caught during this period, they would have spent another 12 in exile. So, children, there were two conditions here. The first condition was that they have to spend the last year of their exile in disguise, means they have to hide their identity. And the second condition was that if they were caught during this period, they have to repeat this again. So, it was really very tough. Children, you can see in the picture that a man is cooking food. We will learn about this person in our next slide. So let's learn. Now children, see here. The Pandavas chose the kingdom of Virata to spend their last year of exile. Children, do you know why they have chosen this kingdom only? Because King Virata, he does not have a good relations with Prince Duryodhana. So they chose this kingdom. So before entering the capital of Virata, they changed their names and put on different disguises, means they changed their identities. Then they secured different posts. Secured means they obtained different posts in the service of the king of Virata. What is the meaning of in the service of? Means to work for someone. Children, as we know, there were five brothers and they had a common wife, Draupadi. Draupadi got married with all the five brothers of Pandavas. So let us learn their work and their identity, new identity. Children, you have to learn these things because maybe it will come to right. So please learn. See, the eldest brother was Yudhishthira and he was well versed with scriptures, rules of royal court, and the skills of dice. So he decided to serve the king as his advisor and he assumed the name of Kanka. Children, what is the meaning of well versed? Yudhishthira was well versed, means he was experienced or skilled or to be knowledgeable about something. So he was knowledgeable about scriptures. The scriptures means the sacred writings of our religion. Fine. And he assumed the name of Kanka. Assumed means he took on. So Yudhishthir, he became the advisor of king and his name was Kanka. Second brother was Bhima. Bhima, being fond of eating, decided to work in the guise of a cook, assuming the name of Ballava. Children, we have seen one picture in the previous slide. A person was cooking food, so he was a Bhima. And children, do you know he was not only fond of eating but also he was skilled in cooking. So he took this work as he knew that he can give his best. So Bhima, he became a cook and his name was Ballava. Now, the third brother was Arjuna. You know, children, he was the best archer in the world of that time. So Arjuna took the name Brihanala and he became a dance and music teacher to the king's daughter, Princess Uttara. Children, you must be thinking that how a man can turn into a woman. So children, here is also a story. You might have heard about Urvasi. She was the most beautiful and attractive Apsara of in the king's Indra's court. And once what happened? Somehow Urvasi got insulted by Arjuna and she cursed him that he will be a eunuch for the rest of his life. So Arjuna was worried and he requested Indra to do something. So on Indra's request, Urvashi gave him a curse for only 1 year, and that 1 year can be chosen by Arjuna. So he chose this year. So he took the name Brihanala. So he became the dance and music teacher to the king's daughter, Princess Uttara. Now the fourth brother was Nakula. He became Granthik, the caretaker and the guard to the horse stable, as he was an expert in the training and the treatment of horses. And the last brother was the youngest brother was Sahadeva. He was appointed to look after the cattle and he was called Tankipala. Now, their common wife was Draupadi. She was also with them in exile. So, Draupadi was appointed as the chief maidservant to Queen Sudeshna and she was known as Sairandri. So, children, this is how, without the knowledge of the people, all the Pandavas entered into the service of King Virata. Entered in the service means to start working for. Okay. In the hope that the men of Duryodhana would not be able to spot them, means to find them. Thus, the 13th year was passing by with the Pandavas and Draupadi fulfilling their duty sincerely. Children during that time, they were not meeting among themselves because they were busy in their work, and they have decided at the end of the year only they will meet. But something happened in between, so they had to meet. Now, there is also one story on that, but we are not going to see that story now. Okay, what happened after that? Towards the end of the year, means the year was going to end very soon. But there is a twist in every story. So here what happened? Duryodhana and his aides. Aides means children, assistants to political leaders, encroached upon the territory of King Virata's kingdom. Encroached means slowly entering on another person's territory without their knowledge. And what did they do? They stole cattle belonging to the king. Cattle means, all the cows, buffalo, sheep, they are known as cattle. Now, when the king learned of this, he sent his son Uttar Kumar, the crown prince. What is the meaning of crown prince, children? A male heir to the throne means he will be the next king after King Virata, to fight the Kaurava army. Arjun, in the guise of Grihannala, requested the king's permission to accompany Uttar Kumar as his charioteer. Charioteer means, children, a person riding or riding a two-wheeled horse-drawn vehicle used in ancient warfare. So the king agreed. At the battlefield where they were fighting, Uttar Kumar got frightened. He was scared. Why? Because he had to face the huge and powerful Kaurava army, and he tried to flee in fear. Flee in fear means he tried to run away from there. So at this point, Arjuna gave away. What is the meaning of gave away, children? Means he revealed, he told the truth, he gave his identity. So Arjuna gave away his true identity and instructed Uttar Kumar to take over the chariot while he fought the battle. He single-handedly means alone, defeated the Kaurava army and brought back the cattle. So by this time, children, here chariot means a two-wheeled horse-drawn vehicle used in ancient warfare. So we have learned two words here, chariot and charioteer. In simple words, you can say chariot means vehicle and charioteer means driver. But you cannot write driver or vehicle in the word meanings because it has a proper meaning. A two-wheeled horse-drawn vehicle. And charioteer means who drives this vehicle. Fine. Now the last paragraph is, children, by this time the 13th year of exile was over. The Pandavas revealed their identity to King Virata. Revealed means they told their true identity. He was surprised and pleased, happy also, with the happy turn of events. Means good happenings, means whatever happened, everything was good. And thus the exile for the Pandavas ended. Now let's learn something more about this story, children. The Mahabharata is an epic poem, and children, it is the longest poem also of India, which was composed in Sanskrit. But now we can read the story in English also, in Hindi also, in other languages also. The sage Vyasa, his full name was Ved Vyasa, who lived in the 5th century, is believed to be its author. Along with the many myths and legends, means there are several ample number of stories and fables on this. The Mahabharata is also considered to be the storehouse of diverse stories dealing with all aspects of human nature and emotions like cheating, hatred, jealousy, friendship, responsibilities, truthfulness, and revenge. So, children, in this story in Mahabharata, you will find all these emotions. So, I will suggest you to watch Mahabharata on internet, on YouTube. You can watch and you can learn more about it. That's all for today, children. I will make one more video for the book exercise. Please watch that video. That's all for today, children. Thank you.